Hello and welcome to Central Park Lanes in East Boston. This is the Friday Night Pro League Playoffs, today on Sunday, May 19th, 2024. This is a round of 8 matchup between the number 4 seed Academy 2 and the number 5 seed Central 2. Hello, my name is Greg Gouillart. I think my levels are a bit too low. There we go. Broadcaster and producer of this entire broadcast, but of course multiple streams as well for the other 3 opening round matchups. 1 Central 3 versus 8 Riverwalk, who won the play-in. Number 2 Exeter versus number 7 Academy 1. Number 3 Hingham versus number 6 Academy 3. And these 2 teams here. Starting off is Jimbo Ayotte and Sean McDonald in this 3-string matchup. Ayotte begins. He's got 5 pins out. McDonald splits. No, he doesn't. 6-10. And a big break early for the 5 seed. Ayotte runs it down, 10-pin, clipped last. And he's on the board with a spare. And McDonald up the wood, foiled him. If you've never seen Candlepin bowling, it's the same as big ball bowling, except you get 3 small balls rather than 2 big ones, and any pins on the plate stay on the plate and can be used as live wood, unlike duckpin bowling. That's a 10 for McDonald. You can see how playing the wood is not always easy in this sport, and that's why we love it here in New England and Eastern Canada, Northeast North America. I'll show full lineups in a second, but first, Ayotte to fill the spare. Strikes are rare, so you want to load up big on these spares. Ayotte gets good count despite not getting the head pin. He'll get 6. McDonald gets 4 out on the first one. All scores on your screen are unofficial until otherwise confirmed. We're using pen and paper scoring in this wonderful classic house. And another spare back-to-back for Ayotte. Good recoveries on the second ball each case. McDonald gets 4 of the 6 pins, excuse me. 8 down, 2 to go. That's 9. 9 box for McDonald, and he's only left 1 pin standing. Important in this as well. Take a look at the full lineup here. Chris Winiars, Steve Latch, Scott Douglas, and Tim Douglas, the brothers. 4 and 5 for Central 3. And for Academy 2, last year's playoff champions, Jimbo Ayotte, you saw there, now Joey Lister as substitute, hence the other uniform for the World's team he was on. Dave Godwin, Joe Smith, and Tim Jalbert. Pins didn't agree with his entry angle. Unfortunately, Lister seems to be getting stronger and stronger as he goes in a very prominent way. It's 3 pins out. Two, 7, 9-10 with wood for Latch. It's a relatively horizontal piece out front. Uses the right tip of it, and it did carry over to the 9. Not the 7-10. So both bowlers working out of splits here. Lister with the 8. And Latch with a 9. Steve Latch, I'm not sure what. Latch is now, excuse me. Half Worcester for Lister, punching out just 3 and 9. Latch was on Team Metro Bowl previously. Metro Bowl this year, the unfortunate now 9 seed. Made it to that 8-9 playoff game and unfortunately fell short in the 1-string roll-off. We did record that. We'll have that on Candlepin Bowling Network in just a moment, along with all the rest of our great content. So if you like quality bowling, or great developing bowling, we've got it all on our Facebook and YouTube pages, Candlepin Bowling Network. Joey gets 9 as 17 through 2. Latch has to work harder to get this one, as that inside-out ball almost looks like it's going cross-lane until the last moment where he actually hucks it left to right. Zips it along left to right, certainly. Now Chris Winiars and Dave Godwin. Greg Gouillart here. Lions lane 15 and 16, 4 matchups simultaneously in progress. Pleasure to have you watching along. Godwin got skinny slice of the head pin. I don't think he wanted that 3 pin to tip, unfortunately. And Captain Dave's going to have to take a look at the 6, 7, 8, and 10. Central 3's captain, not Central 2, I beg your pardon. I knew that. Central 3, of course, the champions of the league. That's a pretty good cut on that. Gouillart gets rid of 3 of the pins, and it's so easy to punch through. So Godwin gets 9, but Gouillart will not be far behind, if at all. Chance to pick a pin and equalize the Brogs. It's 8. It's so tricky with these pins here at Central Park Lanes. No gimmies here for sure, very few anyway. Of course, plastic pins will always give you a little extra scoring, but if you get the wrong entry angle on the head pin, you get punished hard. And that's why Gouillart's got the leave he did, even though he did connect. Now a thin slice for Godwin, and that leaves the 2 pin up, and now this cluster of 5 on the left side. Gouillart got on the 1-3, and he's got a 5 pin. What a great leave. Godwin, oh, he crossed over, I suppose. No, actually, no, he wants to hit in the 2-4 pocket. Left the 8 pin. Very good bit at that, and at least got the pins. Gouillart connects and puts a spare on the board. Central 2 and Academy 2 in a good battle early on. See the lead on your screen here, the 9 pins for Academy 2 and Central 2. As Joe Smith and Scott Douglas shake hands and get to work in the 4 spot. You also see the yellow smudges there for the spares on between total and game. That'll help you keep track of the hanging marks. Leads can be deceptive otherwise if you're not keeping an eye on that as well, but of course it's 1 mark to each side, so that 9-pin lead for Academy 2 should hold true on average. 2 tough splits. Joe Smith, left side out. It's going to roll. It's not going to have enough mustard to get there, though. Douglas has wood available. He didn't even connect with it, though. He wanted it. Threw his hand up part of the way down. He knew. Great 10 for Smith. And that's 10. Somehow the 7-10 goes. Pretty 10, that is, for Scott Douglas. So overall, Central 2 all over the head pin, but just needs to find a better angle to it in order to start generating marks. 3 strings, though, plenty of time to figure that out. Slight caster jinx, I suppose. Scott Douglas misses this one, only 4 pins. Now Smith at the 7-10. He's got the wood. It cut halfway across the plate. Douglas. Yes, got it. Spare. And another quality 10 for Smith. After a spread eagle and a 7-10, pinned it out perfectly. So Academy 2 has generated a 3-pin advantage in the pinning alone, so that's adding on to their lead. If that trajectory continues, that can continue to mount and mount and mount, especially across this 3-string matchup. In fact, I'm going to take this away because you all don't need to see it. Strike for Jalbert. World's finalist with Fenway Academy. Tim Douglas. Rich Lamoni, the non-playing captain of this Central 2 squad. Also captain of the Hatchetmen, which has a similar roster of players in the ICC. Douglas has 8. ICC, of course, the preeminent men's competition. There's a women's competition that was held in Halifax this time around anyway, in varying locations at about the same time of year. Before you know, in mixed worlds, the men and women combined event will be coming up soon. In about a month's time. 7 pins down for Jalbert on the first one. 7-9-10. Timmy. A Former Easter Classic champion, notably this year's Easter Classic champion, Austin Barnes, who is on the Academy 2 lineup, not in action, at least not at the moment. Lister in right now. Spare! Oh my, Jalbert got it off the wood and it caromed off the pin setter assembly, and with the power of his shot, puts a spare on the strike. Tim trying to shoot the wood over. Both pin and ball got to the left side. And 10 box, 18 through 2. Take a look here. There we go, 21 pins for total for Academy 2. Off to a great start. Tim Jalbert, strike spare, coming up big in the anchor position. Again, the head pin accuracy has been good for Central 2, but remember, Aod got both of his spares without hitting the head pin either time. Just his second balls were such gems that he found a way. Can I help? Oh, yes. Tight corners here in Central, bear with us. All set, sir? Aod to fill this spare. Gets out 6. So 6 on each of his opening spares. Bowlers have switched sides, as you've no doubt ascertained. After every 2 boxes. 3-string match, total pinfall only. Match points do not matter today. Aod is 3 straight. Jimbo getting work done. Nine box for Sean McDonald. Aod, a recent bowler of the year and Pro Series champion. This year, your bowlers of the year are Tim Douglas and Blanca Gacharna. Aod got 4 on that. Can he run this one down? This goes as well if he can, but this time comes up short on the 9-pin. Pro Series champion in the playoffs, that is Aaron St. Cyr. McDonald gets 8. And 10 for Aod, who is still pin perfect, 56 through 4 in the early going. Steve Latch and Joey Lister. By and large, bowlers have brought their full complement of lineups up. Just take care of the tripod, that's all. Substitutions are technically allowed, but it's kind of like a baseball lineup all day today. Once you take someone out, they're not coming back. So substitute with care. Probably many teams might choose to only put a substitute in case of injury, or if it's the final match and it's a tactical move. That wood was not covering everything for Latch, unfortunately. Lister, you see how he really turns the ball over as he delivers it. Has a snap and a flourish to that delivery. That led him to a great finish on the Pro Series table. That's very good. That turns to 10. And you see the immediate effect of that ball. Latch tends to only make appearances on our network on the Friday Night Pro League. But no doubt if he was trying out for shows and other shows like Skins, on the all-new Skins on Candlepin Corner, like Lister has, I bet Latch might find success as well. Joey gets 8 out. 5-10. Steve took out 3. Keith Beaupre is here. He's wearing a black Central Park Lanes shirt, so there's a possibility Rich Lamoni might employ him as a substitute. We'll see. Lister has to contend with very high wood and goes low on it expertly to complete the spare. That's a good 8 for Latch. Almost cut the pin across to collect more. 37 up for Academy 2 right now. They are rolling it. And now Dave Godwin, who had a shaky start to the season just because of injury, already in better form here. And if that keeps up, perhaps Academy 2 has a heightened chance of repeating as playoff champions, even if they may be, quote-unquote, only the number 4 seed. Need the power of that ball. Gouillart's only got 3 on that spare, so again the Academy lead continues to compound. Godwin unfortunately misses the head pin this time around, so he will be no mark in this frame. Greg Gouillart here on Candlepin Bowling Network. Friday night Pro League playoffs to determine the playoff champions. Godwin completes another 10. Central Park 3. The team in gray led by Josh Daly, the captain of the regular season champions. 221 match points, finishing ahead of Exeter, formerly Team Woburn. Gouillart gets 6. Team Exeter, formerly Woburn, were the runners-up in last year's playoffs to Academy 2. What available? Chris wants to go left on this one. Got it! The right piece spun over. And again, Chris gets to sit on one, so to speak. That'll go. The steamroller takes it. And Godwin is on the board. And I think he's starting to feel his old self. Get that elbow pad, get back in the groove. That is awesome to see. Godwin, of course, has made camera appearances as early back as the Comcast show. Smith dropped that ball more on the right side of the approach than I think he's accustomed to. Douglas gets a 6 fill. 4 Horsemen. Got it! Another one back to back. Fifth out, 6 out. Nine for Smith, only the first pin he's left standing. That's better. Just me, myself, and I up here with multiple streams here on Candlepin Bowling Network. A split now for Scott, but he's got an 8 count on this one. Average spare fill is 6.5, so that's very good. 5 and 7 for Smith. Scotty shot the pin behind the 4. Smith has play on this one. If Joe can connect the 5 and the wood, nicks it on the outside, and that's the sort of deft touch that makes Smith a silent but deadly weapon on the lanes. Scott Douglas is pin perfect, meanwhile, 54 through 4. In last season, Joe Smith had, I believe, more 400s than anyone, in fact. It was certainly up there. Tim Douglas, Tim Jalbert. As coincidence would have it, Douglas has that 5-step delivery. He's jammed through again on the head pin. Tim's going to pick up 5 on this one. 3-pin didn't quite connect with the wood. See, he'll go to the left side, trying to get pins the prudent way. Now the third ball coming up. Now Tim's got 8 out of this. Couldn't follow up his head pin hit. Jalbert matches. Trying to pull up statistics, that's my silence. Tim, oh boy, and the Leafs just keep getting worse and worse for him. Some say, oh, if you throw it as fast as him, maybe it doesn't drive through the pins. Sometimes you get bad pin action. Why doesn't he just slow it down? Well, changing tempo on the ball can have some weird side effects as well. Like, then you have to adjust to that new timing and adjust to how the ball comes out of your hand. That's what makes it so difficult. Tim gets rid of 4. Jalbert, that is. Now again, the follow-up's not there for Douglas on the 3rd ball, so it becomes 6, and as a result, Tim picks up 3. Tim Jalbert, 52 through 4. One day, the commentator will learn to not say Tim when both of them are up. 223 to 194. Extra marks aplenty for Academy 2, and the pinning advantage is massive, frankly. Academy 2 has only left 8 pins left on the plate. Central 2, 23 left standing. Part of that can be explained by the more blank frames they've had, more no-mark frames. We don't say open, that's on a mark in Canada. But that is a lot. So help me out. Maybe you've got this, but part of that is also splits as well. It's a cruel game sometimes, but as it is, one has to follow up on those splits in order to make sure they're getting the pins. That's what it's there for. Ayog, 9 drop. McDonald has 6 out. Sean finding his range again. There it goes. Ayod, 4 marks out of 5. McDonald just missed the object pin. 8 to start off. Central 2 has a lot of weapons in the arsenal. Sean McDonald, a 110 average, and that's somehow the lowest. Of course, pro averages can go up into the 120s, and that's not to speak of Josh Daly, who is just outrageously good, of course. Far and away the best road average this year. Ayala took out 5. Got that outpost leave. Or the post, as Paul would call it. Just chop the head pin. .36 for McDonald. So a decent follow-up, 8 and 9. Sean gains 1. Goes down to Latch and Lister. Highest 5 away averages, Josh Daly 128, Pete Crawford 123.8, Justin Waters 123.6, Justin Waters 120, Jeff Surratt 123.3, John Winchell 121.9, Justin Waters was 123.6. I want to make sure I got that correct. 3rd place. Lister gets 9 and a chance for another. He's got it. Wood then the pin, 19 and another. 3 and 4. That's Alicia Kazinskar's Candlepin Bowling Network photographer out on the left side. Getting good shots of this. Hello, that's a 3-4 conversion. Well, I was lamenting the pinning, and now suddenly Steve Latch produces a gem to collect that 10 box. Four out for Joey. This sleeve does go. That 4 and 2. 1, 3, 4, 6, 7, 9. Pretty when it does. Steve takes out 7. Triangle number 5. With Lister's ball, you'd think so, wouldn't you? 4-7. Wood drops behind. The advantage continuing to mount Partially because of that 19 fill just then. Latch's pocket is the 5'8", remember, so even though there was wood there, he can dodge it quite nicely with his ball going left to right, and it works out. So Lister gets 10 and Central 2 has a little bit of life back in now. 48 pins, but plenty of boxes still to make this up. These two fill balls could make a difference as well as Godwin and Gouillart step up. So it's 6 for Dave on that. Gouillart lost his balance at the line. Unfortunately, it's a 4 fill. 7 bonus pins across 2 fills. The Wizard, they call him. 8 for Godwin. So Chris picks up pins. Gouillart has held down the anchor spot many times on this team as well because of that care for pins. Had a couple of 8 boxes, but he's been honing the pins ever since, holding them down. 53 at the half for the pair as it happens. Greg Gouillart here. This is Candlepin Bowling Network on Facebook and YouTube. Lots of other coverage, including the Atlantic Candlepin Single Store playoffs as well. Primary coverage of that is on the Atlantic Candlepin Single Store Facebook page, primarily for live streams. Also, YouTube channel available for the archives. But we plan to have coverage as well. Gouillart's get 6. Godwin, oh, it Sherry's that 5 pin. Rough go of this one. Yes, the wood spins. Spare for Gouillart. And again, Chris sits on a mark. 8 for Godwin, 61 through 6. I may have a chance to go live here. Stand by, folks. Smith. 6 on his spare. Scott Douglas is 3 and 3, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 10. Smith shoots the wood, 8 pin. Wood didn't roll forwards off that hit. Smith is splitting a lot, but he is accurate. That's a heck of a crack by Scott. 8 down, 2 to go. A 10 box for Smith. And a 10 for Scott. Well worked out of each respective split. Smith's try, 2, 5, 7, 8 goes. Douglas stomped his foot immediately, had that cluster of 6 on the left side. Multitasking here, bear with me. Now over to Tim Douglas and Tim Jalbert. Spare for Jalbert. Got the 5-8. Tim gets 9. Tim Douglas, 41 at the half. Having a tough go of it, all over the head pin. Then getting splits and getting stymied by the pinning coming along. The fill is 7 for Jalbert on this spare. 69 with his 3 marks. Chance at the 1-3-9, gone again, back to back. 79 and a ball through 6. Tim Douglas, who I think that was his first head pin miss, unless I had my head down for the last one. 1-6. We'll check scores in just a moment, so that we have accurate reporting for when we go live. And 8 again. The pin's getting away from Tim a bit. Tim Douglas, 49 through 6, and I think he's going to be very disappointed with how this turns out unless he starts getting marks in a hurry. 62 up for Academy 2. Pinning is 15 in their favor, and the marks even more so. 13 marks to 6 will confirm. Three there and 4. Ayott's got the 4 horsemen, 7 and 8. $8 for McDonald. Ayotte could collect at least a pin, in fact 2. So again, another pinning advantage of 2 to Academy 2, and that advantage just continues to grow.
It's one of those games you can pay extra money for. Suck you in. No. All set, all personal satisfaction.
McDonald 3 out. Spread eagle for Ayotte. McDonald grabbing sticks. Too bad. It's one of the few hit and hits Ayotte's had in this string, and unfortunately it's not likely to work out for him. Thought he put a better bid on that than he did. In fact, he's actually chopped 1 out, and now McDonald is probable to gain pins on this one. He's got 9. Could the pinning slide back? Not by much. Ayotte pins out well. That's 8. All scores are confirmed. I'm going to go live, in fact, as soon as I can. Latch is 8. $5 for another. Latch gets it. Deadwood spins across his second spare. Lesser put a good crack on that one. 6 pin is all that remains. 9. Huge hit, latch, 9 down. That's the Jolt Central 2 Nite. Lister has a split, 5-7-8. Latch puts his pin down with ease. He sits down on a 3-mark chain. Lister does the best he reasonably can with this. We'll stick with 9 on this one, 88-8. Lister has been on the head pin more than not, but he's getting a case of the splits. 5 splits out of 6. Have to find a way to adjust that. Hey, is this thing on? We're live on Candlepin Bowling Network at last. Central 2 and Academy 2 are in a good one as Chris Winiars gets a 7 fill. I'm going to catch rapidly up to this. Great to see you all here. We are live from Central Park Lanes in East Boston with the Friday Night Pro League playoffs. That is a 5-9-10. Glad you got to see that one. What a shot by Chris Winiars. 80 and a ball through 7. I'll catch you up in just a moment. Great to see you all here. My name is Greg Gouillart here with Candlepin Bowling Network. Dave Godwin has a 9. Everything except the head pin. Connection's excellent. Good. You'll love to see it. Chris gets 6 on that. Chris's bonuses are now perfect, 7 and 6, exactly the average you'd want. Godwin 3 and 2. Since it is the start of the live stream, I'll remind you this is Candlepin Bowling. We play up here in the Northeast. 3 balls per frame, any pins on the plate, stay on the plate. One heck of a good time, especially today, playoff day. Winiars gets a 9. I'll show full scores in a second. Dave Godwin has a 9. And take a quick peek here. Here's where we left off. 408 to 378. Academy 2 is nursing both a big pinning advantage and a big mark advantage. 4 extra marks for their side. 13 pins in the pinning as well. That's helping them on their way to that 30 pin advantage. Jim Ayotte, who's only got 3 head pins, has 4 spares. Lister, who's got 6 head pin hits, has only 2 spares. Smith 2 marks and Jalbert 4 marks in the anchor position. Smith is also getting a case of splits until just recently, and now he's got a gettable split. 8 pins out. Apologies, I hadn't marked the spare. That's now correct, 73 through 6. Douglas, only 1 out. Douglas is also having a hard time solving this lane. Tim Douglas also having a tough time with the splits. And then the pinning being difficult after. 9 and 10. I think that catches you pretty much up. I hope to have the full recording in just a moment. The internet just clicked into action. Many thanks to the team here at Central Park Lanes for working so hard with all the logistics of this event and having time to help us out with that as well. That's all gone, Joe Smith. Mr. Silent but Deadly strike, 93 plus 2 through 8. Douglas has a chance at the hay bale. Cluster of 5 doesn't go, only 3. 10 out. And let's anchors away. He's got frustrated with himself, but he's got 4 head pins in the last 5. Splits. Tim, that's another split. Crossovers leave kings. He's got a diamond and a 7 pin. 5, 6, 10 for Jalbert, who did get a good count on that. 86 through 6. Diamond won't go either. Tim would rather be hitting this in the right side pocket, the 1, 3, etc. Tim right down the middle. Hope everyone's doing well. They shuttered the Sumner Tunnel, but that only affects outbound East Boston traffic. We're all good here. We all made it. Hey, that's 10. Oh, the shot was on. Hey, Jalbert gains a pin all the same, though. Seven. Again, Douglas is 7 for 8 on the head pin. It's just not getting the leaves he's after. Probably just missing the pocket he's after. 5, 7, 8 has play here. He saw his teammate Chris make such a similar shot earlier. 3, 8. If Jalbert puts it in the right spot like that, the spare does go. And again, the anchor diff huge for Academy 2. Tim Jalbert 106 and a ball through 8. Take a look at this. There's that strike and spare up. Latch has a spare on the board for Central 2 still to fill. He's doing recently well with a 3-mark chain. Chris Winiar's had been sitting on a mark every single check back until just now, but he actually got his mark 1 early. He's averaging a mark every 2 frames. 4 spares. And getting better and better at the bonus ball, so although the momentum decidedly for Academy 2, still plenty of time. Chris thankfully helping out here. He did take an 8 in that last box, called a foul on himself. Thanks, Chris, for letting us know. 6 out for Ayotte. McDonald did not want to take those pins out. Now he's in trouble here. 1, 4, 6, 7, 8, 10. Savored out the wrong ones. Ayotte, that pin is dancing this way and that. He'll take 9. McDonald, that's not bad all told. Actually, it's very good. That's going to roll as well. Not quite toppling the 7, but it will be 8. And that's a pretty darn good result considering what he was faced with on the 3rd ball. We'll see. But if nothing else stems the tide. Look out, Ayotte spills this head pin. What is far forward? I got to check something. Deadwood has to be removed. It's far forward of the Deadwood line. 9 box in that last one for AI 106 through 9. Great to see you all here. Multiple streams across Candlepin Bowling Network, Facebook, and YouTube, including on a restream. Bob Lee is in both places this time around. Hey, that's 10. A spare, excuse me. 116 and a ball. Beg your pardon. McDonald has 9. And he won't be happy with 87, looking to find the range on the next one. Filling in the 10th is Jimbo. He's got 5, 121 for an opening string in this first of 3. Total pinfall only is what matters. Nothing else does. This is correct now. Latches on a fill. This is Joey Lister. 1, 2, 4, and 10. Lister had back-to-back marks at one point. Actually has a better lead than he's been getting on the headpin generally. Latch lost grip on that one, unfortunately. 2. $110 for Lister on the third ball. It's there. Steve can throw the strike ball. 3-6. Again, the matchups today. Central 3 is facing Riverwalk after their victory over Metro in the play-in match. 8-9 tied. That necessitated a one-string roll-off. Riverwalk wins that. Lister 3-pin. Latch. Steve's got the 1, 2, 4, 8-10. Number 2 Exeter, last year's runner-up in the playoffs, facing number 7 Academy 1. Lister spares the 9-drop and gets his break. Number 2 Exeter facing Academy 1, number 7 seed. Number 3 Hingham facing Academy 3, number 6 seed. Hingham was Union Street lanes last time. And number 4 Academy 2 facing number 5 Central 2. Here you see it. Exeter was Team Woburn last year. That's why I mentioned them as the runners-up. Generally similar composition. Dave Barber captaining that squad. Captains of these teams, Rich Lamoni not in the roster for Central 2, and Dave Godwin here for Central 2. Lister gets 4 on this. Won't be thrilled. Wanted to put more of a stamp on that fill, but still, fills of 9, 4, and 4. And he ends up with a 111 string with good pinning generally. Drops us down to Chris Winiars and Dave Godwin. Academy 2 had a slow start to the season, but a quick resurgence as the pieces started coming together. And now you see Dave Godwin returning to former form with a strike. Injuries be darned. I think the captain's back. Rich Lamoni is probably not far off either. He's working out. He's trying to stay in shape. You saw he had struggles in his recent conditioning as his arm injury and operation still affect his delivery, even though it's not a pain thing. But I imagine it will not be far off before we see Rich back to his former form too. He's working hard at it and is impatiently waiting for his scores to follow suit. Chris Winiar's put a good bit on that, 5 out of 6. A 9-box. 103 through 9. I'm not sure why the thumbnail is showing the... I got the thumbnail wrong. Okay. So it is. Godwin's strike fill is 8. (97 through 9). Winiar's chance. 7-pin off the wood. And Chris, a very sound string overall. That's pro bowling. 9-box for Godwin. Winiar's 113 in a ball. There's 5 spares. Bills of 3, 4, 7, and 6. And his best one, yeah, 10, 123. So that's currently the best performance on the Central 2 team. And now Scott Douglas and Joe Smith. Strike hanging on Smith's side. He's got his head pin, will not double. A triangle 4 gives him a chance to compound. Scott Douglas straight down the middle. Right down Saratoga Street. 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 10. That's the street of Central Park Lanes. 8 fill for Smith. It's the pinning that makes it difficult. Smith again doing well with a 10 box. He is so good attacking 10s on the board, and he has only left 1 pin standing this whole time. Douglas gets 8, and that's actually, he only had left 1 pin standing until then. Very solid in the 4 spot. Lamoni is giving ample encouragement to Tim Douglas, who's having a rough start to this, 68 through 8. Now, that is 3 pins out. He took out the 1, 2, 10, Smith did. Extraordinary. In case you forgot, this is a tough house here. Douglas throws it down the void. Now Smith plays 7. Douglas will equalize with his own 7. 108 and 118. Metro Bowl is debriefing their defeat to Riverwalk to my right here. Then I'll do this. Yeah, just sneak up. Excellent. Alicia Kaczynska sneaking up with the glamour shots. Well, it's me, but still. 8 fill for Jalbert. 9, 10, easy as you like with the wood. And the string just continues to rock and roll.
Spread over here, any idea?
There's 10 for Douglas. That's back-to-back 10s now. Like to see that. Jalbert only got 4 on that fill. So 128 still easily into the 130s. If anything, this is an easier lead for Tim that he's been looking at. Douglas, the half Worcester. Now, could gain pins at the very least, though. Well, there's the 6 anyway. It will not go, so Douglas trapped in the 80s. Jalbert gets the 10. There you go. The shot was on. That's the second time a seemingly impossible shot was on for him, but a 138, and so easily could have been higher. 87. That's how we show it. No points awarded. It's just total pinfall. We'll confirm scores. 1 moment, please. This is the round of 8. Long day of matchups coming up. Single elimination brackets from these 3 string matches. We have all scores confirmed. Spread eagle shot for McDonald doesn't pan out. Ayotte 4 horsemen 7 and 8. He's made weirder washouts. Didn't make this one. Now he is going to gain pins, so again, pinning advantage opening up for Academy, who already had 25 pins in their favor, just tacked on 4 more. 10 versus 6. Central 2 finished 5th. Academy 2 finished 4th in the standings. Central 3, top of the shop. Josh Daly's team, the champion of the league. Still $2 grand on the line for the team that wins this playoff bracket.
Are you streaming or not?
YouTube only. It also has the Pro Series thumbnail.
Yeah, I got the Pro Series thumbnail. That should be good. This goes. Ayotte a spare. McDonald a 9, so the leadoff spot immediately paying dividends as Ayotte had a 121 previous and now building in the second string of 3. Total pinfall only as Steve Latch and Joey Lister come up. Substitutions are expected to be rare. It's almost like a I have a spare.
I have a spare here if you want to sneak in.
Three and 1 split for Latch. 7 and 9 for Lister. Ooh, that was close. Latch has been generally solid. Just a few balls away from a 120 string, I would say. Joey had a 111 previous, and he wasn't far off either. He had a lot of head pins hits and just wasn't getting the love. 10 and 10. And there you see the solidity. Multiple streams in progress across Facebook and YouTube. There we go. I think I've changed the logo. We'll see. But in any event, the weird splits just keep on coming. This time, it's a W for Steve Latch, if you view it from the top. Spread eagle plus the 5. And a diamond and 10 for Lister, who throws his hands up in disbelief.
Just to plug it in.
Just a second, sorry.
7 for Latch and a 9 for Lister. Multitasking here, bear with me. Dave Godwin and Chris Winiar is coming up now.
What was that?
Oh, that's a replacement battery. The battery was empty, so that's why I'm trying to change it out.
With this one?
Yeah. And I just plugged that one in. And then when you see the bar, like going up and down, that means that it's charging. I don't need it, Chris. So I always tell you that it's fully charged.
Winiar says the 1, 2, 9, and 10. That's the end of my multitasking. Thank you, folks. Runs down 3. Godwin, the 7-pin cluster. Connect right down the middle. Pin still a question. Not so for Winiar's, of course. He's got the 10, having done most of the work on the second ball. Godwin runs it down and almost equalizes. Gets a 9. Dave Godwin, the captain of this team. Winiar's a product of the old Park Place lanes in New Hampshire. Former TV lanes in their own right. Will miss it. Godwin took out the 4-7-8 again. See, he's got that elbow brace. I believe that's new. Spare for Chris. He had a great first string. At a 123. Hey, hello, that's gone. Godwin matches it. It was an understated reaction from Academy. But that is gone. The steamroller goes. Scott Douglas and Joe Smith. Split 2-5-7-8. This will be a 3-7-10 for Smith. Scott on the 2-pin directly. That's twice on the object. Cold comfort for him, though. Joe missed the object pin. That wooden back was not frozen. Had to be on the 3-pin direct. 9 for Scott. And a 10. Oh, okay. Again, Academy 2 just one ball off, but they're getting pins for it. Again, pinning advantage is 7 now for Academy 2, so this continues to be a one-sided match for now. Central 2 has explosive weapons that they're waiting to activate, but against these difficult lanes, it seems as though pinning is ruling the day at the moment. That goes 3, 6, 7, 8, 10, and there's the activation for you. Scott Douglas marks in the second, and Smith does not, as he missed his object pin just to the right. Second string of 3, that's 10. That'll make them feel better instantly. And now Tim Douglas, with 2 prior teammates sitting on spares. Not that anyone's actually sitting on an exciting day like today. Standing room only here at Central Park Lanes in East Boston. Beautiful classic house, 22 lanes, proudly owned by Chuck Vazella. Tim Douglas has 6. That is Jalbert with a strike. He hammered 9 of them, and the 7-pin couldn't help but cooperate. Goes away here. Douglas on again, off again. Hey, that's 10 though. He knows he can now. And he just threw a huge ball that would have gone for a strike had it been the first ball. Now he's going to impatiently look for that ball again, and he's got a good leave out of this. 1-3-10. And the wood will seemingly roll away. On the strike, Jalbert, 6. 1-6-8-10. Can Douglas find the pocket this time? Yes, he can. His first mark of the day, right on cue. Jalbert, look at the pin action he gets. Extraordinary the sidewall action he can generate. Spare on strike. We're disconnected. We'll see if that comes back. Full scoreboard on your screen. 108-91. Three marks upside. 3, 4, 5 spots did come right back on. Gouillart has 7 on this one. Make it 8. As a pin falls late. 4, 6, 7, 8, 10. McDonald. How in the world was Ayotte going to cut that? He almost felt like he should have. McDonald plays the junction and gets 4 out of 5. Then for Ayotte, that'll be 9 for McDonald out of the channel. Couple of splits each side. That's gone. 4, 6, 10 for Ayotte. Sweeps the wood. Fantastic. McDonald shoots wood forwards. It hits the 2 as it rolled off the plate edge. Now it's a gimme for 10, and he's got that. Well done. So McDonald is having a more solid string. Unfortunately, the 6 box early was the rough start. Lister and Latch now up. Five, 7, 9, 10. Latches the 4, 5, 7. Eight box for Lister. 9 for Latch. Stand by. There we go. I don't know about this 5-10. Lister again flummoxed by that. Latch has a chance here with the 10 pin. Right down the middle. Lister signals field goal. Latch got the 10 pin for the spare. 36 in a ball through 4. Goodness, I thought that pin was going to propel her back for Lister, but actually, Joey ran into another piece of wood. And he's got 36 through 4 as well. Minus that ball on Steve Latch's side. So it is triple digits for Academy 2. They do have to fill the marks. There we go. 3 out for Godwin on this one. Gouillart hits that head pin. 7 pin won't go, but gains basically a spare's worth on that mark despite being against another. Godwin pins well. Gouillart, that should be on the lane, fair and a spare. 39 in a ball. And an 8 for Godwin. So great sequence for Chris there, trying to claw this advantage back. One mark fizzles on Academy 2's side. Central 2 goes 19 and another. 94 for Academy 2. But we've only just approached the halfway point. You do not want to let up at a time like this. Then pins start getting away, and then all sorts of fun things can happen. Gouillart blasts in again. That's another 9 fill. Can he keep the consistency? Guardrail is moving away. There is one on the right side, but I can't imagine this will work out. Godwin has deadwood, I believe, so someone will check. And that pin will likely have to be removed. Douglas will check. And it is behind the deadwood line, so Godwin has to play it. Dave's probably wondering, well, do you want to check again? If anyone doubted me, I'd just bring my phone there and get an overhead snapshot. Screenshot don't lie. And it does deflect the ball away. Gouillart's 5-pin. He didn't get it. Like I said, that guardrail was too far away. 8 for Godwin. Chris can still pick up 2. Yes, he will. Would have rather had a second ball, but he is gaining the advantage. Remember, it was triple digits a moment ago, and now suddenly, poof, it is 83 and an extra mark for Central 2. Scott Douglas, and Joe Smith gets right up there and deals. 1, 7, 8, 9, and Wood behind. Headpin got nudged. Interestingly, I think Scott would have rather had that headpin down because the 2, 4, 7, 9 seems a simpler leave since the headpin's not really well angled to take out the 9. As it is, Scott will fire straight at it. And besides, he would have had higher count. That's 10. Smith again with a 10 box, just 10 after 10 after 10. Scott almost cut that across. Score at 9. So there we go. 5 extra was that effective extra ball. Now it's 2 marks aside. It is Central 2 still has 79 to catch. Academy 2. Smith takes out 5. This will be a bear to pin. Scotty displeased. 2, 4, 6. This will not go. Smith again generating great action off the wall, but nothing came over to take the 9. Scott snaps it. And again, he nearly makes a cut shot. That would have been very consequential. Smith has 4 straight 10 boxes. That's against Douglas's 9. Tim Douglas and Tim Jalbert now. One, 2, 8 for Jalbert. That's on his spare fill. 7 more. Smack dab in the middle for Douglas, just as he was trying to get the momentum going. It's the second and third balls that'll get you. That is 9. Pin wiggles. Doesn't take it. Tim Cherry picks the 6. And 10 for Jalbert. In fact, actually, the fill was 3, in fact, so this will be a 4 box. Scott yelling encouragement. Pleading with Tim, stay focused. Diamond out. Tim crossed over on this one, 5, 7, 8, 10. Wood is there. 5, 8 is certainly covered. 10 has a plank. It will require something to go across to 7. Look at that ball just carom. Insane the action Douglas generates. Almost a manual ball return. Gouillart is pinned perfect through 4. Douglas will get 9, and another ball drops in the channel and starts coming this way. All confirmed scores for y'all. Public service announcement, XXXX is not a Roman numeral. But that is Joe Smith's score through 4. Hits just keep on coming. Gouillart and Gouillart, fantastic. McDonald is 4. This splits for Aod. He gets 7 more. Jimbo's shot making has been stellar all day today. 3-4-6. And he thought he could get that one as well. Tough one, left to right ball. McDonald gets 7. All Grant brings up poker hands all the time. That's a 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. A 10 high straight for McDonald. Not in that sequence. Aod gets 9. 9 box brings Sean McDonald to a 41.5. He's got his head pin. Just not busting up. For Aod it will, even though he's missed this head pin. 4 horsemen left. Aod can generate action in any situation all match long. McDonald, meanwhile, has been twice accurate, but cannot get all 10 pins down one way or another. Until the third ball, that is, of course. Nicely pinned out for 10. Nine for Aod. Brings it on to Latch and Lister. 99 pins for Academy 2 in their favor. So the advantage continuing to grow. Fills are coming in. Matching spares for the pair. I apologize. I had to turn my back on that one. That was a fantastic shot each way. I'll confirm scores in a second. Eight on that one. Latch at 8 on the last fill. There we go, 8 and 7. As Lister is just getting split after split after split. It's outrageous. Latch not much better, even though he's totally accurate on the head pin as well. Sup, Alicia? 9 down. Setback doesn't go for Lister. That 5-6-10 with the wood in front, or the 4-5-7. That plank just in front of the 2 pins. What good does it do? Nothing. 10 aside. Pretty simple once you get down to that spot. It just seems like the single always goes in that situation. Gouillart and Godwin. Gouillart's again the setback shot for him this time. Godwin's got that 4-pin cluster. So Dave's starting to lose the range, but he does have that one spare. Question of endurance as we get down to the last strings here and possibly strings 4 through 6 and 7 through 9. Should Academy 2 again advance that far? Like they did last season. Woods rolling for Godwin, doesn't take it. Nine for Gouillart's, 10 for Godwin. Dave picks a stick. Puts it up to 91. Tim Jalbert probably most likely to go 400. Second most probable is Chris Gouillart's at this point. Jalbert has 55 pins over par, basically, and over par being a good thing in this game. Assuming everyone got 10 a box. Gouillart's a 2-5-7-8, 1-3-5-6 for Godwin. The lambda leave, some might call it. You can tell it's probably a Bob Lee term. 1-3-6 runs down. Closer to the ball Dave wants, though. Not easy for Godwin, but he has been clawing pins. That is significant. The alternative would be much more interesting. 9 and 9. Nines are fine in this game. Scott Douglas and Joe Smith, except when they're not, of course. These pins are toppling forwards for Scott Douglas. 1-2. Smith dropped that ball on the right-hand side approach. Cluster of 6. Mirror image of what his captain left on the previous frame. Neither converts. Scott couldn't make it over to the head pin until this ball. Got his 10. Smith, ooh, tough one. He'll get 8. It's a good out all told. That's only his first 2 pins left standing all told. 48 pins, no mark. We're denied seeing 10-10s, but I'm sure we'll capture it on camera one day or another. Scott Douglas, 6, 7, 10. I thought that 7 was hit. Instead, it's a lonely island in the corner. Now there's a performance group I haven't heard of in a long time. Smith, 1-3, 8-9. Shoots across in front of the 7. One 3-9 went out for Smith. And he will match the 10 of Scott. Anchors away, Tim Douglas and Tim Jalbert. Tim has been finding the head pin in the past 2. He has been generally. Unfortunately getting splits because he keeps hitting the crossover side. Can he make that adjustment? Now he's on the half Worcester. Short side, trying to find that Goldilocks zone. Jalbert 4 horsemen. This 4 horsemen runs down. For Jalbert, the hits keep on coming, and now he can start heading for a 360 series. Still with half the match to go. Acting a little meek, like he somehow didn't earn that, but I think he sure has. Douglas, 9 down. Flank in front, Jalbert strikes. And another 20 bucks for Jalbert. It just keeps happening. Tim Douglas has no problem with this one. So he spares. I'll check in just a second. $7 and a spare for Douglas. That's better. 102. Well, it's certainly better for Academy 2. It's just Tim Jalbert is relentless in this series. Even if he whiffed the strike field entirely, he would have 365 with perfect pinning. Sean McDonald has been increasing his head pin accuracy. Now it's just a question of busting up the pins. He's on the crossover side, unfortunately, so this will be a diamond and 10. And is a ridiculous split 2, 410. Wood available. Can he shoot it over? Yeah, it spun across. It will spin, it will slide, and it will go. With no wood, McDonald had little chance at this one. He's the pins. Quick delivery, $8. Match is not over yet. It is bleak, but it is far from over. Plenty of boxes. We saw how Central 2 at one point snapped 20 away just with a couple of well-timed fills. Tim Jalbert, of course, is compounding the lead by doing it on his side of things. But when fills fizzle like this 3 from Ayotte, anything is still possible. 1, 3, 7, 8, 10. Good follow-up. 3, 7, 8, 10. Wood rolling behind the head pin. Got the pins at least. Ayotte does too. 10 and 10. Matching 10 boxes. Joey Lister and Steve Latch. Lister, of course, a substitute. And a darn good one to recruit as Austin Barnes was unable to make it today. Latch. That is down by rule, 2 and 2 split. Latch is actually head pin perfect. Nope, 5 pin doesn't go. Lister got on the wood. Latch has had a bad case of the splits, unfortunately. Gets just on the 6 pin, unfortunately. $9 with Joey Lister. Steve Latch, a $9 as well. Rounds are reseeded, high seed versus low seed, whoever advances. So obviously right now is 1, 8, 2, 7, 3, 6, 4, 5. Lister has only just missed a head pin for the first time. Steve sure didn't. He's got his best leave. 5 pin. Joey running down the back pins. That'll guarantee him at least a 9. The tip of that wood is touching. That should be advantageous. Latch has a broader target to aim at, and he hits it direct. Beautiful. You love to see it. Lister can't complete the 10 again. 9s are fine, though. 81 through 8. Certainly completely so in this situation. Winiarz and Godwin. Again, can Godwin continue to pin? He is so far. And a very comparable rate to his lane opponent, Gouillart. These are mixings for Godwin. Got a very interesting four horseman variant, and I don't think he's going to like this wood that's shot forward. Chris breaks it up, 3-6. For Godwin, he's got it on his head pin, on target. The plank was there to drive it back. Wood not as easy for Gouillart, but it spins in on the left side. The unexpected, but nonetheless successful way. It does go. Godwin 1-2-7-9. So he's got 6 on this one. Chris has been the best bowler on the team so far, and he drops 9 again. Had those early fills he would have wanted back, and he's just been getting better and better at those as he goes. Godwin, that pin just caromed wildly in front, off the pin deck and everything, and not hitting the 9. Gouillart just missed it by a board only. And for Godwin, total pinfall only. That's all that matters in this 3-string matchup. Chris has 10. Instead of the spare he was after, still a great string, 105 through 8. But he knows how precious these opportunities are. Scott Douglas and Joe Smith. Smith is up in a hurry. He's got a diamond. Thin hit on the head pin, that's what you get. Scott takes out 3. Diamonds only go about 1 in 4 times. Perhaps with the wood supporting, it might have helped. Smith gets it done. Again, only the 1 8-box. Everything else has been 10. And now this spare. Scott has a choice here. A very cautious play would be to go to the 4-7. Splits the difference, and he'll get 6. Certainly the lowest frame he's had. Had been pinning well, though, to that point. Joe Smith has 5. That's another thin hit. Split for Scott. Go Lily. So-called sour leaves. If you're reading that Florence Greenleaf book, I have finally had the chance recently. Just be careful with the tripod is all. Just be careful with this.
Just be careful with the tripod.
Okay, so just put it in the tag.
Yeah. 10 versus 9. Thank you for bearing with me on this one. Now Tim Jalbert and Tim Douglas. Tim Jalbert is 85 pins ahead in the match over his counterpart. Again, Tim Douglas, a very accomplished bowler, bowler of the year, Easter Classic champion. Having very much an off day today on this early Sunday morning from Central Park Lanes. Jalbert is a wacky one, triangle and a 7. This wood is distant. It is touching the pin plate, only the left tip is, though. He's going to try it anyway. Gets an 8 fill on the strike anyway. Tim got a 3 fill on that spare. 9 for Jalbert. Tim Douglas works out for an 8. 64 through 7. Lead continuing to mount for Academy. Jalbert, 4 horsemen and a 9 pin. That is a headpin and a huge one. What's going to escape, unfortunately, for Tim Douglas. So that will likely have to be removed instead of being a plank, unless it rolls back. Will it roll back? Had it. There's a chance of a strike, believe it or not. Will it? It's going to roll. It will roll. Here it comes for the pin, and it's going to roll off, just hitting with the left hip. I tell you, if it hits red line first, Douglas could have had that hammer. Promise you. Jabber a rare bad ball. He's been good all day. Ooh. Tim Douglas hit the front tip of the wood. Very irate. Broadside would have taken it. It is luckless that he didn't get it there. That's 10. All confirmed scores. And we're back at it. Donald's been having a tough day out there. Getting a lot of splits as well, so that is weighing down his score as well. When he misses the headpin, he's got his spare. That is Sean's first. The first perhaps of many more. There is still a string with which to make it up. Jim Ayotte gets the spare. $106 plus through 9. This is 8 out for McDonald. He's got a chance for more. Again, this diamond and corner lead for Ayotte. He gets 5 on this one. Phil's have 3 and 5 in the last 2, but they've been splits generally. So suddenly, it's odd. Ayotte might have a ball that's just breaking funny, where it's actually busting up more off the headpin than on. That's gone. McDonald hit fair wood. Ayotte punched right down the middle. And a 9 box. We'll check it. McDonald filling on this spare. $10 for Sean McDonald on this strike. 107. As I figured that Phil was 9, actually. There we have it. Latch on that Phil gets a 6. Again. Latch headpin perfect. Lister almost so. But just a bunch of splits as well. My goodness, that pin rolled in front. Now rolling up to it. Will not go. Lister was trying to shoot 2 into 3 because he had the plank in front of triangle 4, although it was angled funny anyway. Back left to front right. Right side forward, perhaps I'll call that. 10 and 9. Lead reducing a bit. Sean McDonald, a huge final 9th and 10th. Central 2 needs a lot more breaks like that, but that is the right direction. 6 out. That's only Latch's first missed headpin this string. Lister comes up on the headpin big time. Has he found his ball just in time for a probable round 2? This pin will not come forward for Latch. Steve's got just the headpin remaining. Overswings the pendulum, he gets 9. Joy resetting, he'll take 2 cracks at this next frame. The bonus 11th rack for Philly on the 10th. Over curled it. Ball really ends up on top the way he spins it. Much better. 9 is the fill. 109. So 105. Academy 2 back to triple digits. Over to Winiarz and Godwin. Dave is not on a spare, excuse me. Nobody is at this time for the final 3 bowlers. Headpin out for Winiarz. Chris only missed his first headpin in the string. He's been very headpin accurate as well. Some irony that the Central Park Lane team's balls just aren't working against these pins at the current moment. Godwin snaps in. Woods rolling back towards the 10 pin. Not enough gas on that. Winiarz picks 10. Perfect in the past 3. Pin perfect, that is. Dave Godwin has 10 as well. $115 for Winiarz. Winiarz, if he went 10s the rest of the way, would have a 348. Tim Jalbert, who we'll see in a moment, could go 371 on pinning alone. Jimbo Aon headed for 341. Also notable. Chris will have to work for these pins. So will Godwin. Dave's taking out the half Worcester. 2-8 to the 3-9 on the first ball. It was a half Worcester for Winiarz as well. I thought he took out 3, excuse me. 5-9. Chris plays on the safe side of that. Can he pull the string on that headpin? No, he will not. So 10 versus 5. Godwin picks up a mark as a result, in effect, even though it wasn't actually one. Winiarz makes his 120, all the same, 3 marks. Those 3 9 fills, big time. Scott Douglas and Joe Smith. Scott straight down the middle. He hasn't had a single good leave on the headpin this string. He made one spectacular shot for a split anyway, for a spare anyway. Two, 4, and 7. Scott makes a 9. And Smith will take 6. Scott Douglas gaining 3 pins. 107 is salvageable. It would take a large salvo of marks in order to do this. It is still very much mathematically possible if the pins suddenly stop coming for Academy 2. At the moment, we haven't seen a sign of that. Scott is the 1-5, but there is wood in between, so this simplifies the leave. Between the 1 and 5. Unfortunately, the guardrail on the right side was only pointed at the 5, and it does not go. Joe Smith takes the 6 out. They're falling forwards. 9 into 6. And Scott Douglas takes the 9. Smith, a 9 as well. So double digits for the pair of them. Brings it on over to Tim Douglas and Tim Jalbert. I think Central 2's only chances for Jalbert to stop being as magnificent as he's been. Tim Douglas, 1-3, 8 and 10. Jalbert indeed did not like that ball, but he's got a cluster of 6. That is gettable. Just the 3 out for Douglas. Headpin ran down the 4 horsemen for Jalbert. Question of pins. Jalbert has a chance to gain 3 and does. 123 to 81. Pinning is currently 23 in Academy 2's favor in the string. 44 overall in the match. As part of their 110-pin lead. Tim Douglas finds his pocket and has a plank in front of the 10. So does Jalbert, 3-6. That should be fair and a spare. It is indeed. Jalbert does not mark. 91 and a ball for Tim Douglas. Jalbert collects his 10. He has 133. Could get to 400 in a minimum of 3 marks, which sounds like tight margins, but with all the 20 boxes Tim Jalbert has been racking up, I would not put it past him. Tim Douglas filling his 10th frame mark, and box 10 will be worth 16 for a 97 string. Let's go back to the top of the order. I'll confirm scores. We'll be right back with you. The scores, I believe, are correct. We'll confirm that in just a moment. Aeon has a chance at the 7-pin. Spare. McDonald gets a mark. Ayotte straight down the middle for 4. And so is McDonald. Way to match him, said one. Now a pinning duel ensues. McDonald got the pin action going right to left on the 3-pin. Pin dancing off the wall for Ayotte. Jimbo's got 23 through 2. Jim Ayotte, of course, but Jimbo is such a natural thing to call him among the bowling community. This is Candlepin Bowling Network on Facebook and YouTube. Hey, if you like the video, please hit a thumbs up button and like the video. Either way, we greatly appreciate your support just by watching. Just confirming something real quick. Also, if the score correct, Godwin's score, he had a 101 previous. And Scott Douglas 94, Tim Douglas 98. That was pinned down and up respectively. Those are the corrections. 4 Horsemen, 7 and 8. Third balls for each. Lister holding the 4 with 10. Collision and an 8 box for Steve Latch. 2 more to the side of Academy 2 in a match that's seen Academy 2 with 33 marks and Central 2 with 23. Hitting a massive part of the difference as well. But then big shots like that as well. Even Joey Lister, who's been splitting like crazy among many other bowlers, now suddenly finding the range as he had that strike previous. Latch bounces this one off the foul line. Triangle number 3. Spare for Lister. Joey 20 and a ball through 2. 6 marks so far. Latch spares his 7th. Gouillart's is 8 marks. Everyone else on Central 2 is 3. For Academy 2, Ayotte 10 marks, Jalbert 10 marks. 6 marks for Lister, 4 each for Godwin and Smith. Dave Godwin and Chris Gouillart's next. Three out for Godwin. Gouillart's gets on the head pin. Unlucky not to carry the 10. Dave blowing pins apart. No mark on this one. 2 horizontal pieces separated by a little bit. Is Chris going to go in the middle of those? Oh, he got the 4-7-10 extraordinary with a sidewall bounce alone. Gouillart's finds a way. Dave Godwin collects 10 at least and matches the sticks. Four Horsemen for Dave Godwin. Gouillart's got his head pin, stopped the approach, pleading for those pins to fall. Did not break the split up. Godwin close. 1-2-4 didn't collect. The 7. Throw it lighter, jeers 1. Throw it lighter. Direct on the 6 pin. Not much to that shot. Dave collects another 10. And the resilience still there for the Academy 2 captain in his quest to bring his team back through the playoff brackets like they did last year. Gouillart's all smiles. Good to have that good sense of humor in a sport that can test one's patience so easily. Especially in a match like this. Smith, 3-6-8-10. And by that, I mean all the head pins these bowlers have been hitting. This is a good hit for Scott Douglas, but this has been far from guaranteed across the board. Scott's consulting for advice. Left side forward on that wood, only just. And a piece on the left side as well. He goes straight at it, trying to hope the ball would go through. It does not. Smith pins a split out perfectly for 10, gaining a stick. Smith found his pocket light. Smith has quite a cross-lane ball to it. Perhaps at times the angle is so severe that it just glances right off the head pin and leaves things like that. But cluster of 5 is better than a lot of the leaves we've been seeing. But again, too far right. Scott. Head pin, wood forwards, not to be. Nine box for Douglas. Gains the pin right back. Now Tim Douglas and Tim Jalbert. That's a setback lane for Jalbert. Another diamond and corner. This seems to be the leave du jour here in East Boston. Interesting. Went low on the wood. There's wood rolling across here for Tim. Doesn't land on the 5. Douglas just missed the object pin. Otherwise, I think he had a good crack of cutting 3, 5 into 7. Collecting the 2 that he actually did get. Instead, it's 7, and Jalbert gains 3. Putting the lead back into triple figures. 101. Jalbert's still on 400 watch, would need minimum 3 marks. Could pin out 371. He breaks up this 4 pin. He's been getting splits too, mind you, but he's just been putting so many beautiful shots on it and taking advantage of his breaks away from the head pin as well. And all the 20 boxes. It's just one thing after another. That's his spare, and that's one of the marks Jalbert needed to get to that honor score. Douglas had the 1-2, but that gets away as well. Scores his 10, hands in the air. $101 is the advantage for Academy 2. Which is wild to think if they hadn't even bowled in this string so far, in this third string of 3, I should clarify on the scoreboard, they'd be tied if they did literally nothing. Just a dominant advantage in the first 2. 8 boxes remaining for each of the bowlers. Horseman 7-8, yikes. This wood is not awful for Aod, at least. McDonald for Horseman 7-8 doesn't go. Goes high up on the wood and it spins in. Playing high on that cap was the key to success for Aod. Getting that pinwheel motion to get it to go. 8 box for McDonald. Five and 10. Again, although Sean wishes he was shooting better too, he has been hitting the head pin a lot of times and just getting next to nothing. But he gets this off the 5-10. Perfect. 8 fill and another. Ayout's got an easier one. He makes short work of it. 4 for 4 on the head pin and 3 marks. 51 and a ball through 4. Well, Academy 2 firing on all cylinders. Now Latch and Lister. One, 2, 8, and 9. Latch gets a 6 fill in this one. Lister crossed over. Only 5. Actually, it was 5 for Latch as well. Excuse me, 5 pins back there as well. Has to really drive this one full. Didn't get it. Lister collects. 35 and a ball through 3. Latch gets 8. Latch again has had a pretty solid day, 7 spares. Only Gouillart has more for the team. One 9 for Latch. Steve has wood to the left side as well. Tries to go off of it to try and get a bounce. Lister, the 9 tips into the 10. 6 and another. 3 straight marks for Joey. Steve gets 10. Chris Gouillart and Dave Godwin. Look forward to uploading this one on Candlepin Bowling Network. This will be on YouTube as you see it now. Live coverage across the way as well on Facebook and YouTube all day today. For your viewing pleasure later on Facebook and YouTube. Candlepin Bowling Network. Godwin splashed out that head pin from behind, 3 pin. Gouillart's 5 to get. Ran the horseman down from the outside. Godwin collects. Takes advantage of the break. 30 and a ball. On lanes 15 and 16. Wood is rolling on Gouillart's lane. That's why he's stopped to wait for it. And unfortunately, it was too close to the pin, and Chris's ball tripped on it for a 9 box. The lead continues to balloon for Academy 2. 120. And 3 extra marks to fill. Crossover side for Gouillart's. 5, 7, 8. Godwin. He's got his head pin. 6. Chris made a similar shot. He actually made the mirror image of this in an earlier box. Didn't this time. 5, 7, 9, 10. And that goes as 1 for Godwin. Nine for Gouillart. The hits just keep on coming. Now Smith and Douglas. Academy 2 narrowly missed the 600 team total in the first string. They might have a better chance at it this time. Scott Douglas. Half Worcester. Now Joe Smith. Way over to the right side, but he found his angle this time. 2, 4, 7, and 6. Void calls for Scott. For Smith, too far over. Needs the pins though. 5 versus 9. Scott has that very unique hop step delivery almost. 3-step delivery. Little step fire action. Contrast that with his brother Tim's 5-step approach. Split aside. 3-7. Scott was hoping to get more on the right side of the object pin to send that over. Joe, gone! Parallel pins, no problem. Scott Douglas a 9, 33. Check that, 32 through 4. So although this is increasingly likely to be the eulogy for Central 2, it's a team that could have on another day fired even higher, and of course they have some pieces that could work better as well. And of course Rich Lamoni, who could make a return and bolster this lineup even more as soon as he does. He's working hard at that. And I bet that could make a difference. Jalbert's fill is 2, so again he will need 3 marks to get to 400. Minimum. Tim trying to spin the front wood. And it does not go. You see again Jalbert putting his sidewall bouncing on display. Tim Douglas with 10. 9 for Jalbert. Ten marks already in the first 19 boxes for Academy 2. Now then, Jalbert's got a parallel pins again. Yikes. This wood is right in front. Left side way forward. He'll try it. On the high side of the wood, just deflects away. Now he's got a more manageable triangle anyway. Douglas gets 10. Almost tangled that 10 pin up, but he matches. Let's check scores for you. Be right back. Checking in here, and it looks like everything is hunky-dory for this string. Ayotte down the middle again. He's had a few of those. Could have easily been filling higher. Just not getting the breaks on the follow-up, even though he is getting his head pins. It's 6 for McDonald. That's a darn good crack at that. 3 and 2. McDonald misses the object pin just. 9 for Ayotte. 64 at the half. McDonald's getting stronger as he goes. 57 at the half. Ayout's been headpin perfect through this string. 6 headpins. 3 and 10. Just 10. 4 horsemen and 8. McDonald just got the 3 out. 1, 8, and 10. Ayout collects his 10. Another 10 for McDonald. Taking a look at something here on my side. There we go. Lister on a spare. It's a good fill, 10. Second 20 box he's gotten. Last time he had it was last box, the second string. And Lister's getting stronger as he goes. Four and 2 to get. No, all the backpins gone for Steve Latch. 4-7. Score at 9. 50 at the half. And that spare 5. Joey Lister on 4 straight marks. On a strike. On the headpin. Split. Right back down to earth. But still can count more by hitting this left side triangle for a start. That's crossed over with his ball. Diamond. Joey gets his 9 fill on the strike. Latch. Just wide. That's where McDonald put it on his diamond. 10 box for Lister. Pin perfect through 6. Latches 58 through 6. Steve Latch has a great sense of humor on the lanes. Many bowlers do, mind you, but if there's any bowler I would request outrun the bear similar to Mike Up, it'd be him. He's got a lot of quips. Probably him and Lamoni both. Both can be jokesters when they want to be. Even at a time like this when the match isn't going the way they want it to. Godwin counts 3 on his spare fill. I won't tell Paul, don't worry. Just the 4 pin out for Gouillart. This almost pushes 5 into the 8 pin. Godwin collects 8. And a 10 for Gouillart. Though on June 2nd, we do have the Bolorama Sanford Candlepins for Cancer stepladder. Looking forward to having that. It'll be mixed doubles. And that is a fun format. Putting together unlikely but fantastic partnerships. And that should be a good time. That'll be here on Candlepin Bowling Network. Live and on demand, and also expected syndication from WON Sports, our syndicated local access TV partner in New York. Gouillart is still waiting. There's wood rolling again. 7 pin. Got it. This time dodged that pesky piece of rolling wood. Didn't ruin his rhythm one bit. Godwin counts 8. 65 through 6. Smith on a spare. Got his head pin, got the 4-8-9, because that's a normal leave. Smith's been head pin perfect through the half. Just the back pins for Smith. Scott, 3-6-7-10. Even if he gets this slice, I'm worried the wood might block it. Or will it? He got his cut. It actually jumped over and made it. Incredible. Got the lift he needed. Although the Academy lead continues to balloon, you see why Central 2 finished so high up on the table, 5th place. And why there is hope for the future for both this Friday Night Pro League and with the Hatchman Worlds franchise. 8 pins on the spare. Joe Smith has his easiest leave on his 6th head pin hit. Makes it. Not much Scott could have done on that. Would have wanted to get on the right side of that head 6 pin, I beg your pardon. Whoops. Not often we can call a lob in this game, but doesn't matter anyway, 8 bucks. Now Tim and Tim. One other thing is that the Douglas Brothers bowl with so much emotion. When it tends to amplify whatever direction they're going in. When they are on, they are very much on. Today was not an on day for them. But so dangerous when they are. String is basically in play it out mode at this point, 9 box and 9 box. So Academy 2 will all but certainly advance to the second round, taking on whoever is ahead. In the next round, it will be reseeded by seed, highest plays lowest, and then the middle two against each other. Jalbert still has the specter of a 400, but it's getting increasingly dim. 3, 9, and 10 for Douglas. Still a 371 series if it was all 10s the rest of the way. Incredible. Jalbert again got a pin off the wall. Almost hit 9 into 7. Douglas. That's Bears. On the board in this string. Jalbert gets 9. They'll switch ball racks. The ball racks are not large enough, the classical design, to hold both teams' balls on the same rack. That's why this has to happen. Some would say, well, why don't you just play 14 and 15? It wouldn't work even if they planned it out that way. Of course, the ball returns are in these positions because pin boys used to be the norm in Central Park lanes, like many older houses. So for pin boys, it would be easier for them to sit on 13 and 14 and then deploy the balls back to the bowlers on the ball returns that you see here. Now, of course, the Bowlmore machine takes it over. Pin setters are, of course, few and far between these days. One usually has to scavenge parts in order to get new ones. And I think that's probably the single biggest thing stopping any growth of the game, regardless of how much more popular Candlepin becomes, which it increasingly is in this streaming age. Strike for Ayot. It was interesting. It was a double splasher off the sidewall, and everything just came up perfect. McDonald gets an 8. Again, off a head pin hit. 5 out for McDonald. That's a double strike for Ayotte. Oh my goodness. That's going to be great momentum going forward. Well, if you stay on your head pin, good things do happen on average. Results not typical. And the way Jimbo deals the ball is incredible. But there you go. 104 and a shed load. Steve Latch and Joey Lister next. Joey Lister is 30 above thanks to 3 spares and a strike. Latch. 3 out. Lister down the middle. Darn good crack at that. That cluster of 6 was pretty good. So a well-earned 10 for Latch. Lister collects 3. $163 and a double strikes worth. Possibly they could win this match by 200 if this trajectory keeps up. Steve, almost a 5-pin, has something to say about that. Lister splashing pins, 9-10 with remote wood on the left side. Steve scoops that through for his second spare of the string. Let's see if Lister could get it on the third ball. He was trying to get it on the low side of the wood. That's why he kept going down the middle. It really needed a deft touch on that. Instead, it's 8. It is incredible. The top 2 bowlers for Academy 2 and Joe Smith, all combined, have only missed 1 head pin. Chris Winiars has had a good day overall. He's on a spare, I beg your pardon, and that is an 8 drop. Getting better and better. Winiars is almost at a... He's at 56 over right now. He had one of the high triples. It was at Ryan's Millis. He collects this spare as well. Hey, Bale only took out 4. There's the 10. Godwin again finding his range. Yeah, Chris Winiars had a 436 high triple. The highest triple in the league was Jeff Surratt, 454. High single, many of you know this one. Pete Crawford Jr., 227. Ryan Family Amusements Millis, he's with Academy 3. Winiar's got 7 on this fill. He's in no mood to quote-unquote just play it out. He's doing very well for himself. Showing what could have happened. Can he cut this across? Close! Godwin close as well, but Cherry's the 3. A 9 and a 9. And now Scott Douglas and Joe Smith. Scott has a better lead than he's used to, the check mark. Close. Wood sweeps behind the 5. Smith with his 6 fill gets just on the 5 pin. Just that little bit off, but the third ball of Joe Smith is usually a strength. Any of them can be, of course. Nice kibosh. That's a 7. Also true, Smith has still hit every head pin he's looked at. Scott took out 5. Smith 4, 5, 7, 8. Nine pin will drop the wrong way. Smith does well to take out the triangle on the left side. Scott is 9. And Smith 9. The two Tims, Tim Douglas and Tim Jalbert. 56 and a ball for Douglas, having made a great split conversion in the last one. Single elimination here in the Friday Night Pro League playoffs. Sunday edition. That fill is 8. Jalbert with a 9 drop. 6 pin Wood alongside. Off chance it trips. And Douglas makes another one. Yes, it does drive through. It did trip off the wood. It deadened the pin action. But Jalbert gets it to go for a spare. His second for each of them in this string. Tim crossed over. 3-10. Another 8 count. Jalbert still they topple. 1-3-9. 7. Now can pin out 377. Tim makes another one. The baby split goes. 92 and a ball through 8. Just off for Jalbert. There's 10. And there's a look at the scores, including a double from Ayotte. I'll confirm. I'll confirm in a second.
Sorry.
I'm talking to the people. Ayotte gets 6 on the first of his strikes. That's how that looks. Now, 7. So 23 pins and bonus fills puts him at 117 through 8. McDonald Sauer leave. Took out the 4-5-8 somehow. Interesting. So Ayotte only just missed his first head pin. It's all statistics' sake anyway. 9 box for McDonald. Four out on the first ball for Ayotte on a split. Two, 4, 6, 7, 9, 10. McDonald is the 1-3-7. Oh, close. Darn, he says. We'll just pretend. 7 for Aon. There's 9. McDonald with a 110 average typically, so not the day he was after. He'll finish with 298, and Jimbo out with 372 after that double strike. Lister. Joey's got the 5, 7, 8, 10. Steve Latch had 8 spares today. Gets 4 on this one. Luster a 6. Was it him that made a shot or part of this shot anyway? Nine box each side. Latch crossed over. 5-pin tumbles, 8-9. Incredible showing by Academy 2. They are all but certain to advance. Latch collects the 8-9. Clever shot with the backwood. Lister 6. Joey Lister will finish with 342. Again, a recruited substitute for today. Great showing. And he's capable of better. That 122 isn't enough of an indication. Steve Latch ends up with 6. That's a 107 and a 334. Very sound bowling. Chris Weniars can pin out 362 here. Dave Godwin can pin out 311. Godwin's had spurts. Still, of course, dealing with the injury, and you see it is still manifesting itself. Started out well, and we'll see if the strength holds up through the day. Four, 6, huh? The match result is in little doubt here, barring an unimaginable scenario. 1-3-10. Godwin gets the out. Winiars is 8. Later round playoff action is coming up here on Candlepin Bowling Network. Make sure to click around. We'll try and organize it as best as we can. We've got all the matches covered. Dave Godwin gets his strike. So much for concerns about fatigue, injury, say what you want. The captain is feeling good. That's gonna fall 2 for Winiars. A slow strike. But it falls all the same, and that's 10 on the plate. Don't worry, we got that one. Godwin, now he wants a double. He got his head pin. Skinny on it. You'd love to see Chris get one too. He does! Yes, it does! For Godwin, the fill is 9, and he ends up with 110 and 317. Winiars will put the spare smudge on the board to denote it. One ball, 127 plus. Future is bright for this team. Gouillart gets 9 on this one. And the fill is 19.
I'll just get you on next broadcast. It's fun having 6-pin standalone. 6-pin went to hang him over Academy.
Headpin for Smith. He's been headpin perfect still through this string. Douglas gets his 1-2. One-two doesn't work out. Excuse me, we'll get this down here. 9 versus 10. So congratulations to Academy 2. It is now confirmed mathematically if you were curious. 8 pins for Smith. And that is 10 for 10 on the head pin. Strike! And Smith is just such a good foil character to the team. Full of a lot of boisterous personalities. You love to see that. And the ones who just quietly do their thing on the lanes. It's a winning mix that has worked for Academy 2 and works in round 1 of the Friday Night Pro League playoffs. The fill is 6 for Smith. Scott filling the strike, needs another ball on it. And there it is. The fill is 7 for a 103 and a 301. No, excuse me, 305. I beg your pardon. Joe Smith finishes with 327. And if his first ball starts becoming any more destructive, possibly higher in later rounds. Tim Jalbert, unlikely to make his 400 after all, but consistently great shots. Tim Douglas with a strike on spare. He got strong, but it just took too long. Tim Jalbert with a spare. This sport is tougher than it looks. Come try it out if you're ever in Northeast North America. Trust me, results not typical. These guys are amazing. Jalbert blows out 7 on the first ball. 103 through 9. And Tim Douglas gets on the head pin. Back to Splitsville, 3-4-6. Jalbert, no, does not get it. The wood did not cut in front of the 6. Or it did cut in front of the 6, excuse me. Douglas neither. The fill is 8. And gets his 120. And 130 possibly. Well, 129 more probably. 9 for Jalbert and 8 for Tim Douglas. Principle is principle. I'd like to confirm the final scores for you, but here's what I have down. 136 for Gouillart, 131 for Ayot. I'll confirm in a second. Let's take a look here. 131, 122, 110, 111. Jalbert at 113, excuse me, I'll correct that. And there we go, 587, all scores confirmed. 587 to 577 for Academy 2 in that last string. 1743 to 1629. There you see the totals. Jalbert tops on Academy 2 with 384. A fantastic 372 from Ayot. Gouillart's with a 379. In the end, Academy 2 getting it done. They win by 114 pins. And that will do it for this first round action. My name is Greg Gouillart, and on behalf of everyone here at Candlepin Bowling Network, thanks for watching this presentation of the Friday Night Pro League Sunday edition. And until next round, excuse me, so long.